Owning a home business is way more expensive, way more stressful than people think it is. You know, you get people who go, well, I'm going to stop being a W-2 employee because the world of work is so bad. If you have never owned a home business, you will find there are, you don't get Social Security unless you pay into it. You don't get time off, vacations. You don't get workers' comp, sick days, and all of that unless you personally pay for it. Happy Sunday evening, family. All right, we're going to listen to a Dave Ramsey video that started about 2 days ago. I know some of you are going, oh, gee, where did she get those glasses? They just came in yesterday. They are from Lens Crafters and they are Versace's, my very first pair. So that's where I got them from, and you can find them online at Lens Crafters under Versace, and it comes with a lovely Versace box. All right, my recommendation, try to get a deal on them if you can. I'm never afraid to wheel and deal. All right, so we're going to take a look at a video that ran 2 days ago on Dave Ramsey. It's called "We Started a Business and Now Face Bankruptcy." Now, people, I'm telling you, and if you have followed this channel and know even a post-it drop note about me, I am not for home businesses. Not because I'm not for the effort and the, motivation and the sincere attempt to make a business work. It has to do with the fact that owning a home business is way more expensive, way more stressful than people think it is. You get people who go, well, I'm going to stop being a W-2 employee because the world of work is so bad. If you have never owned a home business, you will find there are, you don't get Social Security unless you pay into it. You don't get time off, vacations. You don't get workers' comp, sick days, and all of that unless you personally pay for it. You can own a home business for years, decades, and find out you have nothing to retire on. In other words, a home business is not the simple get out of jail free card from being a W-2 employee that people tend to think it is. So I got to be honest, that's kind of the position that I'm coming from. I don't care to be in a relationship with someone involved in a home business. And again, a lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of home businesses are hobbies. Okay, they are hobbies that people like to parade around and say, I have a home business. If you could not support yourself on that home business and it requires you to have some other person coming in with a paycheck, you do not have a profitable home business, in my opinion. Okay, to me, a home business should be not only self-sustaining, in other words, you can buy all the needs of the business with the business. It should also bring in enough of a profit to significantly contribute to a household. And in my opinion, that's not, well, it's really just a hobby, but on occasion we can give you $500 a month out of it. That's a hobby. So that is, the somewhat biased from personal experience position that I come from. So we're going to go ahead and listen to this. We started a business and now face bankruptcy. Ran 2 days ago. Let's hit it. I'm so glad you're here with me.
Brought to you by the Every Dollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
So my husband and I, we started a trucking company in 2022. He was the owner-operator previously. And since we started the company, we just kept losing money. And now we're at the point where we have everything maxed out, all our credit cards, business credit cards and personal. We have a truck loan, and we had a claim that wanted to go into court, but they kind of backed out for now. We have two fuel companies that actually need their payments as well. So that's our situation right now, and we don't know if we should be filing bankruptcy or if we need to figure something out, because we really don't want to file bankruptcy, but it's just that everyone's calling us,
It's scary.
All right, folks, we're going to do it. Let me grab my paper and pencil so I can mark down the time, because that didn't take us long. Let's do it, folks. Let us pour that tea. Always so refreshing. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about home business. Now, some people will say, oh, but this is just a this is just an isolated case. This is unusual. No, it's not. No, not at all. You take everything you have in credit cards, every balance available and you use it to promote this business. I can guarantee to you there are YouTubers that have gone broke. You don't hear about it because they went broke. There are people who have gone broke trying to start a YouTube channel. This is why this YouTube channel will remain a hobby and not my business. This is so typical. And I know to the caller, who is this lovely caller? It looks like Dia or Dia. I'm going to call her Dia. Dia in Sacramento, California. Now remember, this is just 2 days ago. And she's talking about how basically they have maxed out everything. Here is, excuse me, here is one of the problems that I see with the home business. And I'm speaking from personal experience. A lot of people start home businesses without a plan. They haven't planned how they're going to budget the expenses. They haven't planned how the budgeting those expenses is going to affect the rest of the household, the other income that's coming in, say if they have a second person. It usually just starts like this. Hey, we want to start a business. Thumbs up. That sounds great. They start that business, and because they have no money, it takes every amount of credit card debt possible that they can leverage to do this. My experience with home business is that the majority of people, okay, starting a business is a wing and a prayer. It's not based on a plan. They clearly did not plan. Instead, they looked at their credit card balance or they looked at their available credit card debt that they could run up and said, hey, we'll do it with that. And it sounds like this is some sort of trucking business. They've got a bunch of trucks. And I don't recall just how long they've been in business, but it doesn't sound like very long. And they've got the creditors after them. Yes, because when you don't pay the bills, that's what the creditors do. They come after you. And I believe one person or one creditor is wanting to take them to court, but is currently holding it off. Welcome to home business. And let's not forget the IRS.
The fun stuff. Yeah, very, very scary.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So right now we have two little girls, and
how old are your babies?
One's about 2 months. One's just turned 4.
Great. So we have a 2 month and a 4 month, and they decide this is a time to plan a home business. I sure hope they didn't get this off of what is it? YouTube or TikTok University, as Parler would say. YouTube and TikTok University. That's where people make a financially unwise move based on something they saw on YouTube, TikTok, or some other social media platform. So you decide with a 2 month-old, 2 months, and a 4-year-old that this is a good plan. Hey, now's the time to go ahead and risk everything. This is what you do when you're without children. I'm 12 years to retirement. Even at 12 years to retirement, there is no way I'm going to go, hey, you know what? I'm going to go for broke. I have enough in credit cards that almost equal the value of this condo. So this condo is assessed at $175K as of last year. It's 840 square feet, but I purchased it for $100,000. I have probably close to that, not quite, but I got a good $70,000 I could run up in credit card bills without even thinking. I think it's probably closer to 80. This is not the time, 11 years to retirement, 12 years to retirement, to go, you know what? I got all this available credit card balance that I could run up. I'm going to go ahead and leverage it all and see if I can't start me a business. Dumb. I think everyone who starts a business, in my opinion, if you don't have enough money to run that quote unquote business as a hobby, let's say for the first, 3 years, you could just simply run it as a hobby without it affecting anything, then I don't think you should start the business. Because as we know, most businesses fail. And it's not that we're trying to dream kill, okay? But as Ramsey would say, I'm trying to kill your nightmares. This is a nightmare. You got to figure if she's got a 2-month-old, like I said, I don't think this business has been running very long. Imagine a 2-month-old and you're possibly facing bankruptcy. We need the exact dollars. This is just something that I have experienced, and I did it without kids, all right? And I wouldn't go back to it.
Wow. So what are you guys, 28?
We are in our 30s, early 30s, 32 and 33.
Okay.
This sort of stuff should have been dealt with in their early 20s. When you're getting ready to start a family and you clearly don't have enough money to back up this business, read hobby, you shouldn't be doing it.
Okay. All right. Okay. So he's still running the company, right?
So for now, we had to shut down because our insurance was just costing way more than we were making.
Okay. What do you owe on the truck?
On the truck currently, we owe about $8,000.
Okay. What's it worth?
It is worth about $20,000.
Good. Okay.
That would be fine if all they were dealing with was a truck and it didn't deal with the attaching to a home business. I tell you, family, my home business situation was somewhat of a nightmare. I have no desire to go back to, oh, gee, we're just so far in debt because we have a business. You don't have a business. What you have is a hobby you can't afford.
If you file bankruptcy, you understand that the bankruptcy court's going to sell the truck, right?
Yeah, and we don't want that because that is practically our source of income, right now.
You don't have an income. You have a
I was just going to say, there is no income. You're bankrupt.
losing business.
Yes.
See, sorry for the pauses. This is something that I've experienced. And even when I was in my early 20s, I worked for people that had small businesses. At 57, I have not personally met anyone that has just an absolute thriving home business. I'm talking thriving, that they can support themselves completely on their own without help from anyone and not live in poverty. Oh yes, I can support myself and find that I have, $1,000 left over during the month to live on as I live off my tent or live out of my tent. This is the problem. I just don't know anyone with a home business that is what I would consider to be thriving. Again, it does not mean it does not exist. Somewhere out there, somebody's pulling $100,000 off of a home business, okay? That's the exception. And that's the problem. That's the exception.
You too.
So, what would I do if I woke up in your shoes and I have been where you are? I've been so scared I couldn't breathe with a brand new baby and a toddler and a marriage hanging on by a thread and a failed business. I've been right there. That's what happened to me when I was 28.
Yeah,
okay.
It's been rough.
So what would I do if I were in your shoes? I would tell him to take his CDL and go get a job tomorrow.
Thank you. I think that deserves a round of applause because that's what I'm basically saying, okay? No, this is not a business. I think that deserves a round of applause.
Okay, so currently he is working for a company. He's a driver now. He just started about 3 weeks ago, but
Perfect. What's he making?
He is making about $1,500 a week. So the other thing is the truck that we have, the turbo broke down, and that's $3,000 while he was on the road. He was working essentially as an owner operator, and then once the truck broke down, it stopped.
So the truck is worth $28,000, but it has a $3,000 broken item, and you owe $8,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to sell it for $25,000 because somebody's got to fix the turbo, and you're going to take the rest of the money and start settling your debts.
Okay, that's great. We're going to sell the truck. Quick, how many people want a great big truck? Yeah, I don't know anybody either. It's easy to say you're going to sell it, but depending upon what type of truck this is, what it's outfitted for. All right, because certain vehicles you got an ice cream truck. Know anybody that wants to buy a truck that's been outfitted for selling ice cream? You have a tool truck. Know anybody that wants to buy a truck outfitted for tools? In other words, I would like a little bit more information about this truck. And with the cost of gas and maintenance and all that, they have to ask themselves, how many people do they know that are going to want to buy this?
Okay.
Okay. Let's pretend you walk out of this with $15,000 or $20,000 cash after you sell the truck.
Okay.
And
I would say more 15 with the turbo and everything.
I think you're probably right. I'm just saying.
I hope we get into the rest of the debt because this isn't over an $8,000 truck. Where's the rest of the debt?
Okay. But and he's making $1,500 a week, and he's working like a crazy man. He's not scared of work.
He's not.
It's just,
he's a hard worker.
he's not. Y'all have not been good at the business side of it, but he knows how to drive truck, and he knows how to work, and he can go make money, and he's good at that. So we got a $6,000 a month income now, and you got babies.
You don't have a $6,000 a month income if it's $1,500 a week gross.
Is there anything you can do from home to add income?
Well, please don't suggest another home business. We can see how this one worked.
I'm looking to see if I can find a job from home. I used to work in the pharmacy as a tech, and I was going back to school. I wanted to go back to school.
You're not back to school right now. Right now we're trying to eat.
Okay. Yeah.
Right now we need any income you can create that's legal and moral and doesn't leave your family in jeopardy. Okay.
And what does back to school income what does back to school usually mean? Back to more debt. Remember, they have a 2-month-old, a 4-year-old. Without sounding critical, but sounding critical. They really should have never been in this business, knowing that they were going to be dealing with a young family. You know, to me, like I said, unless you've got deep pockets where you can run this as a hobby, and it's like, oh, I could lose everything that was related to the business over 3-4 years. I could lose the whole business, have it tanked, but we would still be fine because we've got money for everything else. If you can't do that, don't run a business.
Yeah.
So if he's making 6 and you could pull in another 2, now we got 8 to work with. We got 15 from the sale of the truck. You told me you had $70,000 in debt. Credit card debt is how much?
Credit card debt is so it's about $50,000. It's like $10,000 on each. We have
okay, and so the fuel bill that's calling you is how much?
The fuel bill one is $2,500, and the other one is $10,000. And he took it to a small court claim, but they didn't serve us. So we talked to an attorney. He said not to show up to court because until they serve you, you don't have to do anything with it.
Okay.
Do they advertise all this when people try to say, "Hey, start a small business"? People don't think about these sorts of things. But they say, I've been in relationships with small business, and you do think about these things. What people think about, usually what you see on TikTok, especially with people, I'm going to start a small business because, darn it, I'm not working 9 to 5 and I'm not working 9 to 6. I'm going to be free. Well, this is freedom on the other side of the fence, folks. This is freedom. And even those that do start a small business and are somewhat successful, my question is, what are you doing for your retirement plan? Because you can work a small business for 30 years and find you have nothing. There are small business owners who are unaware, for whatever reason, probably because they didn't do their homework, that when you're a small business, if you're not paying into your own Social Security, you're not paying into your own unemployment, you're not paying into those things, you got none. Yeah, so you can have yourself a small business for 30 years, find out you have no Social Security, you never paid into it, you have no retirement plan, you never paid into that. I mean, this is the other side. You are legally responsible for everything. You know, I work at a school. If we don't pay the paper bill, that's not on me. A lot of these so-called influencers, I just, love to, I'm being sarcastic here, I love to watch influencers that just claim that the 9 to 5 is not good for them or whatever. The W-2 situation is W-2 meaning they're working for somebody else. That's how you collect a W-2, okay? And they claim that, by golly, they're going to be free because this working for somebody else is just nonsense. Well, you need to look at the positives and the negatives if you choose to work for yourself. This is a negative. And like I said, from my experience, this is not an isolated case. This, in fact, is like, yep, this is exactly why I don't want to deal with it. And who knows what the IRS situation looks like.
Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to take the $15K.
Okay.
Sell the truck. And do it this week.
Okay.
Sell the
You need to find a person that's going to want to drop that much money on a truck.
Now. Okay? Because part of what happens when you get this deep in the mud is you slow down. I want you to speed up.
Okay.
You got $15,000 in your hand. You have $12,500 in fuel bill. Pay the $2,500 as soon as you get the 15. Just pay them. You owe it.
Okay.
Call the 10K guy and say, I've got a little bit of cash, but not enough to pay you the whole thing. What would you take? And talk to him on the phone.
Okay.
What would you take? We're closing down. We're out of business. We're trying to keep from filing bankruptcy. I got a little bit of cash, and I want to try to pay you before I deal with the credit cards. How much would you knock off if I bring you cash today?
And you make darn sure that they put it in writing before you bring them the cash. Don't just let them say, oh, we'll take, 40%. And then you pay the cash. Then they go, oh, no, we didn't say that. You get everything in writing first.
Okay. And see
Yeah.
if he'll take $5,000 or $7,000, $5,000, $7,000, okay? And get that 10 down just a little bit and go take him some money, because that's a small business guy trying to eat too, right?
Right, yeah.
You want to pay.
Yeah, see, that's the other end of small business. The people that you do small business with can't pay their bills, so you can't pay yours. This stuff isn't talked about when people are thinking about starting a small business. The only thing that's typically looked at is, I can be free. I can be my own boss. But you still have bosses. You have all your customers. You have all your vendors that you work with. There is no such thing as being free of a boss. It doesn't exist.
Okay, so the credit card company can jump in a creek. I'm going to take care of those two fuel guys first.
Okay.
That feels pretty good, doesn't it?
It does, yes. Right now we're trying to make payments for the credit cards.
I don't give a crap about the credit cards. Let them sit. Let's get let's get the truck sold, get the fuel thing taken care of, settle the 10, get it in writing from him, that he's accepting $7,000, $5,000, whatever it is, as settlement in full on this debt. No more is owed.
Okay.
In writing, or don't give him the money, and then give him a cashier's check.
Okay.
That day.
And make sure on the cashier's check it has the account, and you have written paid in full for whatever the account is. That must be written on the cashier's check.
Walk over there and hand him his money, and just pay the $2,500. Now those two are gone. You still got a little bit of money in your hand.
Yes.
Okay. Now I want you to line up and start doing a budget and take care of the four walls, George.
Absolutely. That's food, utility, shelter, transportation, and your basic insurance. Outside of that, we're not spending any money. But think about this. Now you're down to $50K of credit cards. You're making $72. There's no need to file bankruptcy. We're going to knock this thing out in 2 years.
Yeah,
you see how that works?
You can clean these credit cards up as you can get to them. But you don't pay credit cards until your family eats and your rent is paid and the lights are paid.
I do agree with that. But again, I always kind of pause when they say you'll knock this out in 2 years. I paid off this condo in 2.5 years. So I think he said they're sitting about $50,000 in debt, knock it off in 2 years. So let me just give you some slight perspective. Okay. And of course, Ramsey has a difficult time for whatever reason taking out taxes. So let's just say our incomes are about the same. Okay. I paid off this condo in 2.5 years. No kids, no spouse, living on a bare bones budget. And I was able to knock off the $45,000 mortgage on this condo. That was with no children. Not a 2-year-old, no 4-year-old, no additional spouse. It was me feeding just myself. It was me controlling every ounce of the budget. I think it's a lot harder to pay off these debts than sometimes, much as I love the Ramsey show, but I think it's a lot harder to pay off these debts than the Ramsey show sometimes gets people to believe. That's just my opinion. Now, if he works like, a dog from sun up to sundown, can they do it? Sure, they can. But all I know is taking my experience and what it took me to pay off $45K. And at the time, I hadn't broken $60,000. So figure I was in the mid to upper 70s, maybe 56, 57 around there. So, okay, maybe closer to 57 gross. But it took everything. It took no trips, no very little to no eating out, yada yada, to be able to pay that $45,000 off. And mine wasn't credit card debt. So I also look at what the interest is that they're paying. I was paying on a mortgage at, I think my interest was like 4.75. This is when I got my mortgage in 2020, just before the pandemic fell apart and the whole world shut down. So we're also talking credit card interest. I just shudder to think, can they really knock off 50 grand in 2 years, 2 babies? I'm not saying it can't be done. All I'm trying to give you is sort of a perspective. I question it. On paper, things sound really easy. They really do. But when you put it in real life application, as we know, things change. I really, really think it was unwise to even be in this situation to begin with, knowing that, you're going to have a family and stuff. Because here's the bottom line. They knew the business was struggling before she had the second kid. This business didn't just, I still can't figure out how long they've had this business, but whatever the length of time is, before she had, because the baby's 2 months old, so they already knew this business was struggling. This is so typical of home businesses. People think that they can just run up whatever available credit they have, and that somehow or another, the thrill of, being able to say, yes, I'm self-employed. I am the CEO of my own company. It wears off really fast when you put it against real life events.
Okay.
Credit cards are not first, they're last.
Okay. And my husband just worries about his credit score.
Who gives a crap about his credit score?
Ramsey's right. Dave's right. They're worrying about the wrong thing. I'm worried about my credit score. That's like the Titanic sinking and you're worried that you didn't make the bed and fluff your pillows. Nobody cares. When you're in this, when you're in this type of situation, you got to get your priorities lined up right.
Just lost a business.
Do you know what a credit score does? It gives them access to more debt. That's how we got into this mess.
You're right.
I saw a thing on TikTok the other day, and the gal was talking about how, and I could almost paraphrase it, okay, because she basically was saying that she hasn't paid on her student loan, and she owes it's a double digit. I want to say it's around 50,000 or so. I may or may not be quite right, but it was a significant amount of student loans. Let's put it that way. It wasn't like, 10, 20,000. All right. It was a significant amount of student loan debt. And, she was basically talking about how her credit score is 725, even though she's never paid on her student loan, and she's behind on it. And, isn't that great? Because, see, her credit score is really high. I've said it before, and I will say it again. A high credit score has nothing to do with debt to income ratio. All it really has to do with is, do you at least make your minimum payments? I have a good $70,000, $80,000 in credit. I could run up. I have a credit score that sits over 800. All right, I could run those up. I guarantee to you, I could keep my credit score well above 750. It might not stay at 800, but I could keep it well above 750. When I was getting my first card lease it was about 5 years ago, I got my first card lease. I had a credit score of about 750, because it had to be pretty high to get a Toyota lease. It wasn't that high. Excuse me. It was about 720. So right around this gal on TikTok that thinks she's gamed the system because she has a 725 credit score and she hasn't had to make her, student loan payment. So she thinks she's gamed the system. I still held on to about 725 or so credit score, and I was able to get, a card lease. And I was carrying at that time a $110,000 student loan that I could not pay off. So a credit score in and of itself has little to nothing, all right, as far as what debt you actually hold. You could even tell me you have an 800 credit score if you've just got a crap load of debt. Well, that just tells me you're good at juggling a crap load of debt.
Right.
Your credit score's been such a blessing to you so far.
Yes, it has. And now,
All right, folks, that is the end of this Sunday night stream as we get ready for work tomorrow. Don't forget, live streams are on Thursday from 7 to 7:30 to the absolute best of my ability. All right, I'm really making an effort. So far, I've been able to hold it, okay? All right, folks, I'm Carrie. This is Consumer Debt Chit Chat. Thank you so much for joining me on this Sunday evening. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you all later. If I don't see you early during this week, I will definitely see you on Thursday. Night, everyone.